Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to Torch Tales, Stories Behind the Hood. I'm your host, Frank Vargas, aka Traveling Frankie. You know how this works. I sit here, somebody sits there, we have a conversation, and I just happen to post them somewhere, which is YouTube. I'm very lucky today for many reasons. Not only am I still in Canada, and also I want to give kudos to Canada Welding Supply. This is the swag that I'm wearing right now. So thank you, Matt. Appreciate it. And I have someone here that I've met through social media. Then as I was doing FabTech Canada, she stopped by the booth I was working at, but I wasn't at the booth. Someone said, hey, Frank, we just met this cool lady. You have to reach out to her because I think she'd be great for your podcast and for Torch Tales. I'm like, I'm on it. So I texted her, Jaime McMillan. Thank you so much for
Thank you for having me.
being here, for driving about an hour or so to Toronto. Traffic is no joke. I've been here for about a week or so. Oof, I thought South Florida was bad, but yeah, you guys are out there as well. But I want to read these few things just to make sure that I don't miss anything, because I think it's important people to know what you are, where you come from, and all that. So I have what I found, and you can tell me whether I'm right or not. Journeyman, iron worker, motivational speaker, construction recruitment expert. Got an award for the 20 under 40 for making an impact in the metal trades. Also, the OYAP, what is it? OYAP?
OYAP, Ontario Youth Apprenticeship Program.
No way I would have said all that. And she got an award as well as the Hamilton Women Distinction for being a trailblazer in her field.
Yes.
Am I right?
Yes. So the Ontario Youth Apprenticeship Award for being a champion, and the Women of Distinction Award was through the YWCA.
Okay.
For being a trailblazer in the construction industry.
Well, congratulations on those accolades. Definitely well deserved. But you guys know how this works. We're going to touch on all of that. I just wanted to kind of give you an idea of what's coming, right? But before all of that, let's start with where you're from.
For sure. Well,
Yeah.
I'm originally from here in Ontario.
Okay.
I was born down south, and then I was raised up in northern Ontario in a little tiny mining community called Timmins, Ontario.
Okay.
And I ended up back down south later on in life, just kind of lost trying to find my way, and now I'm here.
So being in that area, in the mining area, probably at that age, you're not thinking about what the future is going to be for you, but somehow in the background, you are exposed to the trade or certain trades, and you grow up watching these things, and maybe that kind of came back full throttle, full circle. But were you thinking that young, maybe that's something that I want to get into?
I did think about mining. My father was a miner, so he talked about it a lot. I heard all the mining stories. My parents were also very much about buying old houses and fixing them up. So they bought my grandfather's old houses and some neighboring houses, and they fixed them up. My mother was a nurse, but she was really good with her hands as well. She had that academic side, and she had that hands-on side, but my dad was more mechanical, hands-on. So they buy houses.
You had no way out. Like, you were exposed on all sides.
I was exposed on all sides,
right.
But it wasn't part of education, and it wasn't a pathway that my parents promoted either.
Got it.
They wanted me to go into nursing or missionary work or anything to do with helping people.
Gotcha.
Construction wasn't something my dad wanted me around because he thought that I was a girl, and
I don't want you to do the same thing I do or whatever,
well,
right?
dads, they don't want to see
especially
their girls.
with the little girls, right? You are organically exposed to these things. But what were you into growing up? Middle school, high school?
I hated school. I wasn't into school. I was sent to the principal's office a lot. I got in a lot of trouble. I was put into a private school for some years.
What kind of trouble? Fighting or just?
Just didn't pay attention.
Okay,
I couldn't sit still. I couldn't concentrate. I had learning differences. I was put into special education, and it was all due to things like ADHD that they didn't understand back then.
Especially back then, right? People had no clue how to connect with that audience. So now you got in trouble, and school was not your thing. But at that moment, are you still saying to yourself, well, if school is not my thing, what is my thing? Or you still had not figured that out yet?
I didn't figure it out. I dropped out of high school after doing really poorly in the compulsory credits that they tell you need to take. But I did really good in shop and drama and media and anything that had to do with hands-on or creative. I did really well. But nobody said I could be in construction. Nobody told me that was a career opportunity.
Well, of course. I mean, it's always been male-oriented industry, and especially guys in that era, they didn't want to see girls in the industry.
No.
For many reasons. They think that you guys couldn't do it, or we're going to have to change the way we think, the way we act, the way we talk, the list goes on and on and on, right?
Yeah.
Well, tough shit. Look at that, right? So it's okay. We can curse here. It's not for kids anyway. All right. So now you go through all that, let's call it struggle, just finding yourself.
Yeah.
And you're still here in the mining area, or you moved when you were a teenager and left?
I moved out of my parents' house because I kind of took a bad journey.
Okay.
I don't want to say I was a bad kid. I was a bored kid who made some bad decisions based on a limited amount of knowledge about a future career possibility.
What a way of selling that story. Wow. Well said.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. So I went on a convoluted journey until my parents actually kind of found me. They showed up at my work and forced me to go home for dinner, bribe me with some roast beef, and then begged me to go back to school to do healthcare because that's what my mother did.
Gotcha.
So I took the shortest program at a community college to become a personal support worker. It was a 20-week program at the time. Lowest mark in the class.
Yeah.
But I got a really good mark going out into the field and helping people. So I got to go into homes and help people. And that really resonated.
So the people aspect of it really connected with you.
Yes.
Gotcha.
I was willing to go over and beyond to help people. I would go to their houses and have to help them do all the things we take for granted, just like getting out of bed, getting dressed, cooking their food, cleaning their house. And I would go over and above to the point where these people became like family to me. And I did it for 3 years. My parents were proud. I changed my life. And then somebody died. And that was...
Somebody died of the person or the people that you had met that you were helping?
Yes. A person that I cared for very deeply, like a grandparent to me, ended up dying. And it just completely turned me off.
You didn't want to put yourself through that again?
Nope. And I lost interest for that career.
Gotcha.
And I moved away from home and I moved down to the big city here and became a bartender and lived that life for a few years.
Of course, and that's fun for a bit.
For a little bit, but I was starting to get older and my friends were like, they were still young. It was like Matthew McConaughey, I get older and my friends stay the same age. Yeah. That's where I was at. And I wasn't growing up and I wasn't looking towards a responsible, fulfilling future career.
At least you found that out on your own. It wasn't like, I'm thinking, based on what you're saying, that you said, all right, I got to find something else because this is not long term. Because a lot of people have stayed just because it's comfortable, because of muscle memory, it's easy and whatever. It's no real responsibility. Like, you don't show up today, you just go to the next bar or the next restaurant, you always find a gig.
Yep.
You knew that was not going to be long term.
I didn't know at the time, but I found out within a few years. I started comparing my life to a lot of my friends I grew up with, and they were so far ahead. And that caused me to go into...
You were still the fun friend. Hey, she works at the restaurant, she works at the bar, let's go and meet her. And but they would go home and continue their growth.
Yes, and I wasn't. I was stagnant.
Got it. Makes sense. Now you are in the restaurant, you realize I got to do something else. What happened next?
Well, I had to get out of the big city. So in the big city, I just made terrible choices. I really...
It's a lot of everything.
Yeah. I put my priorities in the wrong place. I really cared about materialistic things and friends and popularity. I cared about things that weren't relevant to my future. They weren't setting me up for future success.
Gotcha.
I cared a lot about validation from other people. And it wasn't until I hit a really hard wall, a depression. I didn't show it on the outside, but internally I was struggling, that I ended up moving to Hamilton, Ontario. And that was when I found somebody who was also in the construction industry that I had a chance meeting with when I ran into them on my way to a grocery store. Yeah. And they changed my life. They introduced me to apprenticeship.
How did that conversation start? Did they see you and said, hey, you're not doing anything, why don't you try this? Or you told them, I said, hey, I'm lost, I don't know what the hell I'm going to do next, and that started the whole thing?
Well, the truth is, I ran into them by fluke on a street 500 miles away from my hometown where I grew up, and it turned out that they were actually not somebody I got along with in high school. They were kind of like my high school enemy.
Gotcha.
And we had some serious issues between us. So when I ran into this person, they pulled over on the side of the road to answer their phone. And when they answered their phone, they were getting a dispatch call from their contractor union. And their pen ran out of ink when they were writing down the information. So they rolled down their window to actually ask me, a stranger walking by their car.
So they did not know who you were and vice versa.
They didn't. Neither of us knew who each other was. We were 500 miles away from where we knew each other.
That's crazy.
Like, excuse me, ma'am, do you have a pen? Mine ran out of ink and I need to write down some information. Turned out she was my high school nemesis.
And you're like, yeah, sure, I have a pen. Like, oh my God, no, I hate you. No, yeah.
I didn't actually recognize her. She looked good. She looked different. She had gray hair and makeup and designer clothes and a $3,000 purse and a sports car. And she started telling me about her life, asking me about mine, and I lied.
But she still doesn't know who you are yet?
She recognized
by then,
me.
Oh, gotcha.
She recognized me. And then she starts telling me about all these benefits that her life had because she got into a skilled trade that paid her to go to school. She did an apprenticeship, and she's bragging about how great her life is. And I'm like...
But she wasn't bragging in a way of just for bragging rights?
No, I thought she was bragging because I didn't like her.
Gotcha. Okay. She was just saying, hey, this particular thing, this industry has been good to me, actually in a good way.
Yes.
Okay, good. So when she's saying all that and you're like, okay, big deal, whatever, right? Did that end it right there, or you guys exchanged numbers, or what happened?
We exchanged numbers, and I ended up going and doing the research to find out what the heck she was talking about, because I didn't let her tell me, because I actually pretended I wasn't really that interested. And then when I walked away, I was like, what do you mean I can go to school and build things with my hands and get paid on a job site, paid to learn, and make good money, not have to go back to college or university, and I can collect pension, benefits, vacation pay, good salary, doing something I loved. I loved building and working with my hands in school. Just didn't know it was a career. So she saved my life.
You know, fate works in very weird ways. And so at least, you recognize that you were at a stage in your life where you were open to that idea, that spark, that whoa, what is that? So I'm glad that you had a great mindset to go, let me just search this thing and see if she's even just talking out of, or if there's some truth to it. So now you do some homework.
Yes.
And you go, oh, I guess she is kind of right.
Yep.
Or at least what it says here in Google, right? What did you do next? What was your step? Like, did you went and join, and did you went to school? Like, what happened?
Well, I didn't have Google, so it was a lot more research and stuff back then. I was a late bloomer on Google. I had no technology. I couldn't afford it at the time, to be honest.
Got it. All right.
And I ended up getting my high school transcript. Even though I dropped out of school, I still got my high school transcript. I put together a resume. I went and got a criminal background check done, because you need that kind of stuff.
Right.
And I went and I walked to the union hall with the last $2 I had to my name. And I walked to a union hall and I put my name in to become an iron worker. And the funniest thing is, because I did really good in shop classes, that showed up on my transcript. But also, with the name Jamie, they thought I was a man. So it
happens all the time.
Right? So my name got me a foot in the door, because they sent me an acceptance letter.
We just got a new guy that is applying, and
Mr. Jaime McMillan, you have been approved. Hi. So I had to go in and write tests. So I studied up. Eventually, did get my grade 12. I finished it.
Why iron worker? Why? Because I'm sure they had a list of other things, right? So what was that like? Oh.
It was all I knew, because that's what she was. I didn't even look up anything else.
I see. Got it.
Didn't even look up anything else.
Just memory at that time, right? So now you signed up. The process starts, and you start learning. Did you like it right from the get-go? Like, you knew,
oh, yes.
Oof, I found it.
Yep. The first day.
Really?
I had a crazy first day, but immediately, like, I remember just thinking, like, why wasn't I told about this in high school? Because it just seemed like such a natural transition.
Yeah.
I loved it.
I think, I'm glad that you say that, because I think, when it comes to teaching and teachers and schools, whenever they are exposed to a student that is not checking all the boxes, if you are the adult, the professional, the one that's prepared to teach, to show someone a path, and you see that, well, this student is not that kind of student.
Yep.
Hey, come here, let me talk to you. Have you thought about A, B, C, D, E? Because books are not for you, or this specific thing is not for you, but I think you'd be great at these other things. You don't see that a lot. So that's why a lot of people never find their niche, never find their path, because they're just, whatever, I suck at everything, I'm not good, and they'll stay at the restaurant bartending, which there's nothing wrong with that, but they will never see their potential because they didn't have anyone from the beginning. I can see more beyond what I see now. Yep. So that's awesome. Now, how long did that whole process take, you being at an apprentice or learning or back to school, however you want to call it?
Well, I got in and I finished my apprenticeship in 3 years and 2 months. So it was 6,000 hours. I take off time for vacation.
Yeah.
I believe you work to live, you don't live to work.
There you go.
So I took my time off, and within 3 years and 2 months, I finished my apprenticeship. I got a raise every 1,000 hours. I had to go to school for a short term of schooling every 2,000 hours for about 6 or 7 weeks. And at the end, I wrote my certificate.
Yeah.
And that certificate, I call myself a journeyman iron worker. A lot of people don't like the word journeyman because they think it should be journey person.
Yeah, because
I think it's
I'm a woman.
status.
Yeah.
It's a status.
I read that on your bio.
Yes.
You say it's a status, not a...
Not a gender.
Yeah, correct.
I didn't go to school to get a bachelorette degree. It's a bachelor degree. It doesn't matter how you identify. You've got that training, education, knowledge, and ability.
I'm glad she's saying it, because if I were to say things like that, like, oh, look at Frank, the guys and all these things. So yeah, thank you for thinking that way. So now you have your degree. Did they help you getting a job, go to the next level, or that's now you're on your own?
Well, no, I'm through a union hall.
Oh,
and
got it.
that's my preference was through the union hall. That's what I knew. That's what I went through. So I have a contract union hall, so I can get called as contractors call. To me, it doesn't matter whether you work union or non-union.
Correct.
If you're non-union, a lot of times you have to solicit your own work.
Yeah.
You can do that in a union hall too, but it helps to have the connections at the union
backup,
hall.
Yeah. Got it. Now, how easy was now, that's it. I'm Jamie, I'm out here, I got my degree, let me hit the floor running. How easy was that after that whole first process?
I've never had problems keeping steady jobs. I know a lot of people jump from a lot of jobs because in union we're contract. We're constantly working ourselves out of work. I've had really, really good opportunities to get on with contractors that have kept me steady and have brought me from job site to job site. But when times get slow, you have to adapt to the changes.
Of course.
And therefore, when it has gotten slow in time, I have gone out to other parts of the country to go work out of camp jobs in the oil sands, in isolated areas. I don't mind that. In fact, it's helped me become a better, stronger person and worker.
So out of everything you've done, everything you've learned, what is the kind of job that you love the most, and the one that, well, I wish I didn't have to do that again, but whatever, I'll do it?
Oh gosh, I think all of them. I
all of them. There's a two-part question. So which answer to what part?
Oh my goodness, that's so hard to answer because I love the career. I love the dirty jobs. I love the clean jobs. I love the transferable skills.
Well, I'll give you an example. So I travel for a living. I love traveling. I love meeting new people. I love eating in different places. I love every single part of that. But when I'm traveling, that I have to be in a different town every single day, and I have to check out of a hotel every night, and being 8 hotel nights, 8 days straight, that's the part I don't like.
Yes.
So you got to give me something. There's got to be something there.
I will get to it.
Okay.
So some of the jobs I really loved. I love the transferable skills I have. So I've had great opportunities. I've got to work for Mammoet, one of the biggest crane and heavy lifting equipment companies in the world. That was a really cool experience. For over a year, I was the only female iron worker they had globally working for them. It was awesome to see moving this big stuff. I also got a chance to work doing power lines with the power line technicians, where I got to climb the big transmission towers. What a great workout. That was such a fun summer. I had muscles in places I didn't know that existed. Right. But the other side of it is that, the difficult side of it is that being a female in a male-dominated industry and having to travel for work and go to isolated camp jobs and stuff, it's really hard on relationships. It's really hard on your home life. It's hard to have any consistency. And when you're traveling for work, you have to understand that if you are going to be in a relationship, you need really good communication skills. You need really good trust.
Trust.
That's the hardest thing for a female.
I think the trust part is even more important than the communication.
Yeah.
Because, most people that are not traveling, that are not used to travel, and in these kind of industries, once you're done, working all day. You go out with your peers, you do this, you do that, and if you have someone that is not very trustworthy, oh, yeah, there you go drinking again. There you go having fun. There you go doing all these things. I'm like, you also know that I'm beat up, like I'm just tired. And this is also the way that we create this relationship so I can get along with the people I'm spending 8-10 hours a day, right?
Yeah.
So it takes a lot of work.
It is. It's difficult.
It is. So I get what you're saying. So now you are doing all these things, traveling and learning all these different processes based on different areas. Because even though it might be drilling, it might be welding, it might be this, everyone has a little bit of a different technique or different process based on their permits and this and that and all that, right? So when did you find out, all right, now I'm going to tie what I do physically to how I can expose the trade to other ones to learn from me, from it, and see if I can be a light for someone else when no one was there in the beginning for me? Like, why did you choose that?
I think that, honestly, it was something that was bred into me from childhood anyways. I come from a family that we always had an open door policy at our house. We always invited community people to come into our house to help them. My parents had an apartment house, and we took in homeless people. We took in at-risk youth. We took in anybody that needed help. We were really an integral part of our community, and my parents were known for that. They were volunteers. They helped at camps. They helped at churches. They helped everywhere. So I think that was already in me.
Yeah.
And I think that I had just tried to run away from myself for so long that later on, when I connected back into it, it was life-changing. And the skilled trades actually were a way for me to go and tell people how they can improve their lives. This is a way that if you're not an academic student, if you're somebody like I was, I recognized it in myself. If you're somebody who struggles the way I do, wow, well, this career just saved my life. Yeah. So let me tell you about it and how it could save your life if this is an opportunity you decide to take, because honestly, no one was promoting it in schools. Nobody knew about it. Even to this day, with all the programs we have, all this media we have, I still walk into schools and kids have never heard of careers in skilled trades.
Yeah, it is, me being in the welding industry and now for 15 years, and we hear all those stats of, there's going to be another 3, 4, 500,000 welders needed in the next 5-10 years. And when they say welders, they're talking about everything under the welding industry. And I think social media has helped a little bit on closing that gap, making certain things cooler for this generation. Because let's face it, for you to attract this generation that it's completely different from what we known, from what we knew growing up, and so did our parents and all that, you have to make, I always use this word, you have to make it sexy for them. Yeah. And you have to make it in a way where they can connect, not because the process has changed, not because drilling, cutting a piece of wood, welding, it's the same. Yeah. But how can you make that into something they connect with and make it, oh, this is fun, this is cool. Yeah. Because for this generation, sometimes it's not just about the money. Yeah. They just like, great, I can go make that over there, I can whatever. And it's like, all right, how do you make that cool for them? It's all about just making it look cool. Yep. And also speaking their lingo. Yep. So when you are a motivational speaker, when you are going out there talking to kids, students, or whoever, before you start your speech, how do you approach that crowd? Is the speech always the same, or you assess the crowd based on where you are, the age, and so on? Yep. And even whether it's girls or boys? Yep. Do you change all that?
Yep. Oh, yes. I can do the exact same slide presentation from pre-kindergarten all the way to an adult crowd in the evening with government officials and educators, because I speak differently to each slide depending on my audience.
Gotcha.
But when I get to a school, the first thing I ask is, what's the demographic? What classes do you have here that the kids can support this? Yes, that can support this message. And I really want to know what the psychological evaluation of the kids in the school are, because I find a lot of times that it's the kids that struggle the most that don't get the attention from the teachers.
Of course, it's too much work.
That need to hear the message.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, but teachers are maxed out. the problems that we have in our society.
It's not their fault 100%.
No, oh gosh, no. I've been in classes where there's 30 students and one is so bad and the teacher can't educate the rest of them.
Correct.
But I want to know what kind of backgrounds they come from too, because there's a lot to understand in psychology and understanding why kids are the way they are, and also what kind of support do they have from their parents. Because if they're getting support from the school but they're not getting it at home, you're also beating on a dead wall. So I find out what I can, and then when I go in to speak to the students, I speak to them based on that reflection, and I also can read my audience really well.
Okay.
So I've gotten good at that, and I've gotten good at actually critiquing the crowd after my speaking engagement. So not only do I do my speaking engagement, I spend a whole day at the school with the kids. I go to their shop classes, I have lunches with them. I want to hang out with them like they're my friends.
Yeah.
But I also get them to critique me after.
Of course.
So I say to them, what did I say or not say that would have resonated better with you? How do I sell this? Yeah. And at one point, my niece even took me out shopping, and she's like, Auntie, I don't like the way you dress when you go to schools. You need to be more cool and dress like us. And I wouldn't wear skinny jeans because I'm like a 90s girl, right? I'm like ripped jeans and a t-shirt with my AC/DC logo.
There you go.
Why do I need
And they're like, what? Yeah.
Yeah, so I had to change some of my dress code to reach the kids. And
to connect,
you have to. So your best way to engage with the audience is find out what audience you're speaking to, learn how to read your audience, learn how to connect with them, but ask them to critique you after. That's going to make you even a better advocate for that industry and recruit them better as well.
I don't think I see many people doing that. Just like, hey, whatever the crowd it is, and just going back and say, all right, now let me have it. What do you think? Did I suck? Did you connect? But that's actually very important, and I can see the benefits of doing that.
It's insane.
Yeah.
Wait till you ask elementary students. It's one thing to ask.
They have no filter.
Nothing.
Adults are going to try to dance around the whole thing.
Oh, even high school students. When you ask an elementary student, and you better be prepared. Now, because I have really bad ADHD, I also suffer with something called rejection sensitivity dysphoria. I have a really hard time not taking things personally and going into a funk over it.
You're like, what do you mean? I don't care you're 11. Yeah.
I know. It's like, wow, they say they don't think of the filters, but if you listen to them, man, they will turn you into such an epic speaker that can connect to them.
Really?
And that's what happened.
That is pretty cool. I used to do certain things like that too, but I never did. Right now, let me hear what you guys think. I was afraid
Just brace yourself.
Probably I was afraid of listening. Shh, don't say anything. Just don't say anything. I'm good. Bye. So that is pretty cool. How do you go about getting these speaking engagements? How do you find those? Do they find you, or you just go and say, hey, I would love to share my thing?
I've been very, very lucky. So when I first started doing it, it's funny because I had just finally, remember I said I was a late bloomer with Google and all that? I finally got a computer, and I gave my email address to the company that I was working for at the time. This was 2006 or 2007. They ended up giving my email address to an organization called Skills Ontario.
Okay.
They reached out to be a mentor at a table. Just go to a dinner, be a mentor at a table. So I did it, and I really enjoyed it. And next thing you know, somebody didn't show up for a panel speaking engagement one day. I got asked to go on the panel. I nearly crapped my pants. I'm not lying. Like, I was so nervous. I was shaking.
Yep.
But after I got off, I had teachers coming up to me saying, that was incredible. Would you ever come to a school and teach? Or not teach, but talk.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, I started getting asked to go to schools. So I started having to take time off of work, which doesn't always go well in contract construction because you're there to do a job. You're taking
We have a time.
Yeah, you have a deadline. And now you're asking the boss if you can leave for the day. It doesn't go over well. But it became so important to me that I started missing more and more time for it. And I was getting requested more and more. And then the Ontario Youth Apprenticeship Coordinators ended up linking into me. And I was connected with 72 school boards across the province.
Wow.
That led to me speaking pretty much, 2 years ago, 34 weeks of the school year. I was going from week to different schools all around my province to speak. And as that started getting out, I got to go do one in BC. I got to go do one in Portland, Oregon.
Wow.
And it just started spreading from there.
That is pretty cool. That's amazing. Congratulations, because we need more people out there doing this same kind of work, because it's never going to be enough. It's never going to be enough.
Never.
We got to pass down these experience knowledges that we have acquired to the people that we keep complaining about that they're no good, that millennials and whatever they are, we keep complaining about them, but we created them. One.
Yep.
Second, we're not doing anything to find the connection because we just want to complain.
Yeah.
And you're going to keep all that knowledge, and then what?
Yeah.
Right? Then what? So kudos to you. Now, where you are now, so what do you do right now?
So right now,
Yeah.
I pretty much do full-time speaking. So throughout the school year, I'm going into schools and talking to students, but I also get invited to corporate events now because I have adult crowds going, how did you get into the schools? How do you engage students? How are you recruiting them and getting them into the industry? How do you help them stay in the industry? And they just want to know. And
Of
so
course.
I've started
They're
putting
looking for
together-
that future wave of employees and wave of professionals coming in.
Exactly. And now I get asked, can you come to our school and our conference and talk to educators, because they just don't get the connection. A lot of
Yeah.
them are academics. They didn't get into teaching because they swing hammers. They got into teaching because they're good at teaching,
Yeah.
and that's what they want to do. But they don't understand the hands-on side. They're so conditioned for college and university.
I know it's. I hope something changes because we know by now that that's not working 100%. It doesn't matter whether it's U.S. or Canada; it's just not working. So the way that because you said earlier, I was a late bloomer, and Google and all that technology, but now, made in the trade, your Instagram, all the other platforms. When did you understand that? Okay, this is the digital business card of this era. I got to use those tools. When did that happen?
Well, I still think I don't understand that. Oh gosh, I hate social media. It takes up so much of my time that I could be doing other stuff.
Tell me about it. It's 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm still trying to edit a video. Yeah.
But you're right, it's important. And in order to get that message out in a digital age like we live in now, you really have to get good at it.
Yeah.
And I'm not good at it. So I see a lot of people that got in way later than me that are climbing that ladder quicker than I am.
Yeah.
But I don't care because I'm very happy with what I do. And one thing I recognize, and this is kind of a little bit of a deep dive, but one thing I recognize is that we focus so much on technology now that we're becoming complacent. We're getting lazy. We don't understand hard work anymore, because why do we want hard work? I ask kids, what do you want to do?
I want to be a YouTuber.
Content creator. Yeah, content creator. Like, okay, so what are you going to do? Live in a van and show us what you eat every day? Like, what do you want to do? Because I tell kids, we can't depend on technology. Technology can be taken away from us in one power outage, in one cataclysm, in one disaster, in one war. It can be taken out.
Then what?
Then what? So I ask kids.
You have a bunch of handicaps, that's
I ask kids all the time, if there was ever an emergency, whose phone number do you know? And they're like, none. Well, it wouldn't matter because your phone wouldn't work anyway.
Correct.
So if you break down on the side of a road with no phone reception and all you have is a flat tire in a snowstorm, do you know how to fix it? No. Don't you think you need practical life skills? Don't you think that this should be in schools regardless?
That is mind-boggling. That probably 70% of the stuff that currently are being taught at schools, it's crap. Unless it's just simple math, right? 2 + 2 4, right? But you don't use most of it.
No.
Especially high school on. Like I think middle school, and before that, you are forming that person. High school and over, unless you are going to go for a specific thing, history or an engineer, geometry and algebra and all those things, then yes. But 80% of the stuff you don't really, it's not practical.
Nope.
You're not using it.
Nope.
I don't remember the last time I did anything that I learned in high school. But hey, who am I, right? What do I know?
How does it help us? How does it help us in everyday life when we don't know how to do our income taxes? We don't know how to budget properly.
Money management.
Financial literacy, life skills, psychology. Teach kids about psychology. We're living in a day and age where ADHD and autism are on the rise. Now 1 in 38 kids are getting it.
Yeah.
And the behaviors we're seeing, the entitlement, the narcissistic tendencies.
Totally, yeah. And the whole thing of these social media and all these things create these introverts that they just want to be behind a cubicle, behind a computer, behind a thing, and they don't have any social skills. And I think aside from money management, I think public speaking should be one of the things that they teach at schools, because at what point you are going to sell yourself whether you are applying for a job, whether you were just in a relationship, and if you don't have any speaking skills,
Yep.
and it's one of the most feared things out there, right?
Yep.
And it's like, oh no, I'm never going to use that, so yeah, don't teach it. Yeah. So where would you like to see your handle, you, made in the trade, the brand, in the next 5-10 years?
Well, this is definitely something that I plan to do for the rest of my life. And if I could travel all over and go into schools and talk to educators and students and let them know that this is a viable pathway, that everybody should be given these knowledge and skills, whether they get into construction or not.
Yeah.
That doesn't matter. But to have those practical life skills in a day and age where life is way too expensive, and being able to do things yourself, to be able to afford your home, to afford your life, to afford giving your kids or whoever you want to bring into this planet an opportunity to have a better life, you need these skills. So for me to travel around, that's all I want to do. I just want to go all over North America, the world if it be, and just talk to students about how skilled trades saved my life, and how having these skills can absolutely do wonders for your own life, whether that be in a van traveling around.
Right?
I
Yeah,
don't care.
full of
I just
tools.
wanna
Yeah.
go.
That's amazing. And what's the hardest thing that you have encountered in trying to create your brand?
Well, first of all, I am not a business person. My ADHD prevents me from doing any of that kind of stuff. I can't sit down and I can't do admin tasks.
Okay.
And I'm very creative. I come up with all types of great ideas and I can pitch them to people who want to partner with me, but oftentimes I just fall short because I don't have that ability to do business.
Gotcha.
So that's my biggest problem. And then the other problem is with my ADHD, I also suffer really bad from rejection sensitivity dysphoria. It's
Gotcha.
another thing I want to
Make
educate
sure that
people about, because it's something that you can get help with. It does get better and you don't need validation from other people.
Has it gotten better?
Yes, mine has gotten better, but it's taken a lot of work and psychotherapy, and it's work. You have to do the work. Anybody who wants to improve and become a better person has to do the work, and if you're not willing to do the work, the change isn't going to happen. So it's hard to do because you have to admit a lot of the flaws about yourself, which people don't like admitting their own flaws, but I have tons of them.
We all do, and I think we realize quicker that, all right, this is what's wrong with me, or I have these certain things that I could get better. But the part that really intensifies things is when you feel judged, when you feel that people are pointing the fingers, when you feel that people are seeing the flaws that you already know you have, and then they say something about it, and you're like, that doesn't help.
Yep.
So, no, I get it. What would you tell a 14, 15-year-old that was in the same situation that you were in school, with no clue, with school is not for me? You just have a one-on-one with that child. What would you tell them?
I always tell kids that no matter what their learning style is, that there is a place for them in this world and they just have to find it. And a lot of times that place might be in something that's creative and hands-on. So I tell them, get into the shop classes and go and try them. Go put your foot first and try that. Learn how to maintain your vehicle by taking that auto shop class. In high school, it's free. Why would you give up a free opportunity when you only have 18 years of your life to commit? Why would you give that up? Go take the shop class, take the construction class, learn about how to maintain a home, learn those financial literacy skills, and see where it takes you, because there is honestly a place for everybody and every type of learning disability, every type of personality. There is a place for them. They just have to explore and reach outside of their own limits. And sometimes they don't think to do that, or they're not being encouraged to do that. Their teachers aren't telling them, their parents aren't telling them. So I always say, this is your life. What do you want to learn? And put that at the forefront and go for it.
And great advice. And sometimes, the kids, like you said, it needs the parents' help. It needs both, at the school and at home as well. But is that the same pretty much approach and advice that you would give a parent that doesn't understand why their child is such a mess at school?
I do talk to parents about this. I talk to parents about how great the opportunities are to let their kids learn that. I have students that come up to me all the time, their parents, and this isn't just girls. This is young men, young women, or however they identify, saying, well, my parents only want me to be in business. My parents won't let me take these shop classes. So when I talk to parents, I say, so do you want that? Your young girl to be stuck on the side of the highway because she can't fix her truck?
Yeah.
What's wrong with her taking that shop class in school so she doesn't get stuck out on a highway with God knows who's going to pull up next to her? You can't just trust everybody nowadays. Why don't you want them to have those practical skills? Because not only is it going to help them in every aspect of their life, it's going to help them financially. It'll always give them a foot to stand on. And man, the confidence that it provides you, that empowerment that you can do things on your own, that is so rewarding.
It totally is. I'm getting goosebumps because I would love for parents to be more open to, even if that's not the path that the kid wants, it's like you're still going to do those things. Because right now you might hate it, but right now you're going to do it for me. Because your future, trust me, it's going to be tied to life skills, regardless of what you end up doing. So that's awesome. Where can people find you?
So I am at madeinthetrade.com. So that's my professional speaking website. I also have a team through kickasscareers.ca. We have a team of ambassadors. We're 14 ambassadors strong. We don't all have our profiles up on the page, but they're just, a lot of them are just students or people that I've met along the way that were really passionate about what I do, and now they want to pay it forward, and they've gotten into the trades, and they're paying it forward by following in the same footsteps. And one thing we're very, very passionate about is we don't want to be looked at as influencers. We want to be respected as role models. We want to represent what we want to see in the industry.
Very well said. Very well said. Well, I want to thank you for everything you do. I coached baseball for a long time, so for me it was always giving back to the youth. And me, when I used to coach, I was coaching beyond the sport. I was coaching for what came next. Because you're not all going to make it to play D1, D2, high school, college, whatever, or even make it to the big. So it's like, all right, after this is over and this is just for fun, what are you going to do next? So for me, that was always my goal. You're going to become a young man after this, not just a baseball player. So whenever I see anyone trying to pay it forward and give back to that next generation, it does something for me, because I love that. So thank you for everything you do. Thank you for taking the time and coming here and spending this half hour. I'm honored that I get to talk to people like you. And definitely, guys, please follow Made in the Trade, Jamie. And you guys can support her and her vision and her passion just by going into her website, and definitely see how she can help you guys close that gap between that next generation and between what you are missing in the trade, out of your company. So definitely it's something that we all need, and it's a long-term plan. If you want your company to keep growing, you're going to need this next batch of generations to learn some things. Might as well start now so you guys can benefit from it. So thank you very much, guys. Thank you for watching Torch Tells. You know how that works. I'll be somewhere else with somebody else, because if they keep saying yes, well, I might just say no. Thank you, guys. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
That's awesome.
Thank you.